Our CORUSUS project was conceived by all the project partners who recognize that rural environments are complex socio-ecological systems and are explicitly linked with several sustainable development goals, addressing poverty, food security, and sustainable natural resource use. CORUSUS has strengthened teaching, learning, and research by cultivating cooperation to address the sustainability of rural livelihoods in our research sites in South Africa, in Kyrgyzstan, and in Lebanon, while supporting the sharing of knowledge and experience between faculty, students, and community members from where we work. Rural sustainability is critical, particularly in the Global South, where communities face multifaceted challenges exacerbated by climate change, economic instability, and social inequities. As climate change intensifies, rural populations are particularly vulnerable due to their dependence on agriculture and proximate natural resources.
In traditional African culture here in South Africa, livestock, and in particular cattle, are highly prized as status symbols and as a form of savings or insurance, and they're also valued for the contribution that they make to livelihoods. Now, we are witnessing a process of rapid modernization and westernization across rural areas in South Africa, and yet livestock continue to be valued in these systems, even by households who don't even own livestock. So, for example, here in Bushbuck Ridge, where I work in the far northeast of the country, less than 15% of households even own livestock, be it cattle or goats. And yet the majority of the population values the presence of livestock in their community. So even households that don't own livestock still get to enjoy the benefits such as access to meat. They can borrow or rent oxen for ploughing, and they can even benefit from the livelihood security provided by the livestock owned by their kinsmen. But we're facing a growing challenge in our grazing lands here in South Africa, particularly in the communal areas of the former apartheid homelands. These areas are characterized by shortages of land, high human densities, very high stocking densities of cattle, and combined with poor grazing practices, particularly continuous grazing, this has resulted to quite severe overgrazing in many, if not most, of these communal lands. And of course, this then leads to environmental degradation, which can take on various forms. So it can include a reduction in the grass biomass and in ground cover, which then can lead to not only forage shortages, but also to soil erosion. We're seeing a decline in the abundance of perennial grass species, and so this just lowers the productivity and production of the rangeland. And we're also seeing increasing encroachment by trees and shrubs into the grazing land. And all of these factors reduce the carrying capacity of the ecosystem and ultimately just worsen the fodder shortages that are faced by farmers. And climate change is exacerbating the problem. Our summers are getting hotter with more extreme heat waves. The rainfall is becoming more variable and less predictable between years. And so we are seeing increased frequency and intensity of both droughts and floods. And at the same time, this is being compounded by the problem of a growing human population, which is resulting in villages expanding and encroaching onto the grazing land. And of course, this then just results in increasing pressure being placed on the remaining pastures.
My name is Mhlolo Exxon Mateo, and here we are at Billington B. This is where I keep my cattle in. This is my crop. And then my goats are kept in here. The grazing space is becoming less because people now are now starting to move there where cattle were grazing, I mean. Like last year, I'm sure it's 3 years back, they were trying to get that other side there that they can build some houses for people. And the cattle farmers or cattle community refused them. If you can just, I don't know, you don't know this place. There is a fence for demarcating this area that other side you don't get in because it's grazing field for cattle. And this side is where people should stay. So that's when the time when they come in here, they say, no, we should have to protect our grazing field by putting on some fence so that people should not go on the grazing field. And we should try by all means to try and maintain that area that we've been given for grazing. Other than that, in the future, we won't be able to have some cattle because there will be no place where we can feed our cattle.
Now the space is very small. You see, all people they depend on this camp. Our neighbors here, because we have got the buffalo soup there, and the cotton there. We have got the mambumbu there, 18 back there. All these people, when they release their cows, they get in this camp. You see, we don't have the government doesn't work like when working on the townships, maybe on the suburbs, because the government is cutting the grass along the roads. You see, the roller belts, they leave them there. Then you go and collect them, bring them home here. So we don't have something like that here. Another challenge is that during plowing time, we don't get enough tractors to come and help us, and we don't have enough seeds. They don't supply us with enough seeds to plant. That is our problem. And last time, they used to give us the barbed wires, the hoes, to work with them. Just only every garden working tools, they were supplying us with them. But this nowadays, they don't supply us with them.
Биз ушул үй бүлөбүз менен ушул өрөөндө 7 жылдан бери эмгектенип келебиз. Фермербиз, бала чакабыз менен. Бала кезинен кыялданган кыял экен да. Тоодо жашасам, мындай таза абада, таза жерде, анан ат жылкыны аябай жакшы көрөт. Ошо жылкыдан баштаганбыз. Эң башында жылкы эле болчу. Азыр эми ой кошулуп көбөйүп калды. Практика климат боюнча кандай десем, быйыл кургакчыл болду. Эми баягы баары бири-бирине байланыштуу болгондуктан быйыл кургакчылык болду. Май айында, апрель айында жай турган жагандар болгон жок. Кургакчылык болуп калды. Чөптүн өсүшүнө таасир берди. Чөп аз быйыл, ага караганда чөп кымбат, мал арзан. Бул фермерлерге бул климаттын минус жагы да. терс таасири болуп атат да. Быйыл мал сата алсак мал арзан болуп атат. Чөп кымбат, чөптү азыраак жыйнап калдык жылдага караганда. Эми баягы бир жылда бир жылга окшошпойт экен. Ар кайсыл жылы ар кандай болот. Бирок салыштырмалуу карасак, улам жылдан жылга күн ысык болуп аткандай да. Жылууланып бараткандай. Кар аз жаайт, жамгыр аз.
Climate change has significantly affected agriculture in our republic. And now we are witnessing the water resources scarcity, the degradation of pasture lands, and deforestation. And all these challenges, of course, mostly causing the different life for small-scale farmers who rely heavily on these resources. The disruption of the usual water balance and the decreasing productivity of lands are the consequences of these challenges at the time of climate change. For example, our informants shared with us this in the summer of 2023 when we led the CORUSUS project funded by OSUN, that now farmers have less raining, more droughts, more seasonal problems. And in this sense, our project gathers the data which provides farmers with some recommendations how to effectively use the pasture land and diversify their agricultural work.
Ошол менин оюмча жылдан жылга азыр аба ырайы жайкысын ысып келатат. Кышында кар көп жаабай калды мурункудай. Ысык көл жергесинде болгондон бизде суу катышуу боюнча көп деле катал көйгөй деле жок. Суу жакшы эле, суу каттарыбыз жакшы. Аба ырайы анча мынча өзгөрүп келатат. Жай айлары ысыгыраак болуп, жазындасы алма өрүктөр гүлдөп калган убактарда кар жаап, мөндүр жаап ушундай суук болуп калып атат. Ошонун кесепетинен ушул өрүк алмаларыбыз ушул гүлдөп аткан убагында үшүп калып атат. Түшүм мурункудай болбой калды. Азыраак болуп. Ошол жазында ушу жаан-чачын аз болгондуктан көп жерде баягы суусу азыраак жерлерде арпа буудайлардын бою өспөй калып атат. Ошондон түшүм азайып атат. Бой өспөй калса эле комбайн чаба албай калат экен аларды. Ошондуктан кичине ушул жагынан көйгөйлөр бар. Эми ал деле ошол основной жаан-чачын үчүн негизи ал жерлерге сууну алып барса, суу барат эле, суу кенен да негизи.
Farmers are noticing climate change as something more explicit and frequent in terms of droughts, in terms of seasonal changing, and it's highly affecting not only harvest, but also it's affecting degradation of pastures. And we are really agreeing that the increase of livestock is not a good thing, that it's adding a negative factor to climate risks, and that it's not only drought, but that people are observing that no herbs anymore, and that it's getting problematic to restore pastures, and there are a number of factors which are affecting also the rural economy. So our data shows that people start thinking about some kind of the diverse approaches to their investments, and trying to also take into consideration technologies, but also some of them even thinking about the mobility. So mobility means that they would like to probably change their village, change their places for more favorable pastures, and moving from villages to big cities, and even migrate from the country to other neighboring countries, including Russia and Europe as well.
Мал биздин региондо аябай көбөйдү, өтө көп көбөйдү. Анан жайылсын основной малдар жайлоого чыгат. Мал көп болгондуктан ошо жайлоолордо чөптү жеп алып, чөптүн уругу түшкөнгө үлгүрбөй калып, ошо жайлоолордо сарняк көп, чөптөр көп болуп калды да азыркы убакта. Ошондуктан ал жерге дагы ушул тоyut чөптөрүн себиш керек. Ушул бойдон мал көбөйүп эле кетсе, анда чөбүбүз да жакшы өспөй калат экен.
Hello, my name is Lina Jaber from the Environment and Sustainable Development Unit at the American University of Beirut. Today I'm gonna just give you a small idea about the livestock sector in Lebanon, my country. Unfortunately, in Lebanon, like in any other country, we are suffering from the impacts of climate change. The livestock sector in Lebanon suffers from lack of water as a major challenge, and this lack of water and occasional droughts reflect on the availability of water points in the grazing areas, imposing additional burden on the farmers and their herds, but also reflects on the quality of the feed in these grazing areas that has become more degraded. And with that, we notice that we have overgrazing in many areas, whereby because of the low quality of the rangelands and the exceeding number of animals accessing these lands, the quality and the biodiversity are becoming more and more degraded with time. Overgrazing is also due to the fragmentation of the land due to land tenure policies in Lebanon, which are not in favor of the farmers and their herds. Also, we notice encroachment of agriculture and urban areas over these rangelands. One additional point I would like to mention is also the lack of available services, unfortunately, to our livestock sector. In particular, we notice that the farmers lack veterinary services such as vaccines and health checkups for their herds, which are expensive on the small farmers.
My name is Dr. Jihad Qasamani, mechanical engineer, academic. It started in 1997. At that time, we needed goat milk, fresh goat milk for our consumption, domestic consumption. Because the milk quality was not good enough in the market, and sometimes we had a bad experience, disgusting things, and with the milk taste and all this, so we decided to raise, to start with 2 goats, to raise a farm of our own. At the same time, we had the place. This place is ours, so it was very suitable. Nice place, and it's within our land property. Yeah. So we developed this, and we end up now with 7 goats. Increasing the number was not a good experience because the expenses is large, and if we want to sell the extra milk, it's not efficient.
شارع حنا طايع من ضيعة اسمها كفردبيان. ورثين هيدي الوراثة عن جدنا، وهلا كمان مكفين مع بينا بالشغلة هيدي، وهالشغلة كمان قرضت يعني بكفر دبيان. وبعدنا علي قد ما فينا عم نضلنا محافظين عليها يعني قد ما فينا بالممكن. كمان الدنيا كمان تعمرت، صار في كثير عنا بنا بكفر دبيان يعني، صار كمان ارض سياحيه، ونحن بعدنا محافظين على هيدي الوراثه من ايام جدنا تنشوف وين نوصل. يعني نحن كنا بنحكي عن ضيعه كفر دبيان، يعني كان تحوا بين 20 30 الف راس مواشي بكفر دبيان. هلا اني بقاش في، هلا نحن يمكن اصغر قطيع يعني، كل سنه كان عم نقلل القطيع لانه كمان قل المرعى يعني، وعم يعني صار كمان كلفه العلف كثير غالي. نحن بنطعم مثلا بالشتاء 4 5 اشهر كعلف، وهلا يعني قد ما فينا يعني نفرط ونصيرح بيكون يعني منيح يعني افونتاج لنا يعني شوي تنخفف نتفه علف تنقدر نضلنا مستمرين بهالشغله. لانه قصة الحليب أم قصة الأجبان والألبان كمان إنه كمان صار سوقها شوي ضعيف يعني، كل شيء نيدو طلع، كل شيء بودرة يعني طلعت عم بيضربوا فيه السوق. مثلا جبنة البلدية نحن إنه مشتهرين فيها كجبنة بلدية، كلبنة بلدية، كلبن. بخصوص هلا الوضع بدك تسلم معمل كمان عم ياخذ منك الكيلو الحليب بين ال 40 وال 50 سنت، يعني بتطلع غنية تنجرة ال 20 لتر بتطلع هي عن 8 اما 10 دولار. بخصوص انه نحن عم نعطي الحليب مثلا للمعمل، نحن عم نقدر اكثر ما فينا بعدنا عم نستفيد يعني، نحن عم نقدر نصنع الحليب كمان نعمله كجبنه كلبن كلبنه، نحن كبيتنا يعني عم نعقم الحليب. وبعدنا يعني نحن مشهورين بالجبنه البلديه وباللبن وباللبنه مثل ما قلنا. وهلا انه كل سنه يعني عم نطور شيء. ونحن كمان تقليدنا بكفر دبيان يعني كمشهورين نحن بالقريشه المالحه نحطها بالظرف، يعني هذا الظرف يجي مثلا هو جلد تبع المواشي نحن بنحلقه يعني الوالده بيحلقوه بنحطه مثلا بالهويه مثلا، هي تقاليدنا نحن من اطيب قريشه بكفر دبيان يعني بتطلع عنا. انا مثلا مواشي اللي عنا بيطلع مثلا عنا مثل هيدا التايس، نحن هيدي كثير انه هيدا مقصل من يعني مثلا امه مثلا فيها 3 أم 4 كيلو حليب، نحن ماشيين مثلا على امه. بيجوا مثلا من الشوف من الجنوب من الشمال بياخذوا من عنا البذره الفحل، هن يقدروا يأصلوا كمان عن زيتهم منا. نحن مثلا الفحل مثلا بيطلع انا خليه مثلا 2 سنين وبرجع بشيله، برجع بجدد كل سنه يعني. الصعور الصغير انا بشوف ايه امه المنيحه اللي فيها اللي بتغل مزبوط يعني حليب مثلا كدري، نحن بنسميها دري بتجي مثل امعه هيك بتدري غنميه يعني، هي بتربي منها مثلا مثل هيدا مثلا انا تركه مثلا فحل انه هيدا السنه اللي هو بيعشر بشيل الفوج الكبير ببيعه وبخلي انا اللي عندي الفوج الصغير. اللي عندنا نحن فيها هون بعدها نحن محافظين على الميزه الطبيعيه يعني البلديه، نحن بنقول لها هي عزل البلديه. هي عزل البلديه بتيجي مثلا قرعه سوداء مثلا البرشا، هاي المعزه نحن يعني ما فيناش نمشي بمعزه البين اما سنن بتمشي عندنا بهالجرد هيدا لانه كمان سريعه العطب. هيديك تمشي كمزرعه، نحن هون متميزين لانه ارضنا كثير وعره وكثير منحدره، بتفضل هيدي المعزه تمشي بهيدي الارض بالحراش بالحقاله وبتعيش عنا، وكمان مناعتها كثير قويه كمنطقتنا هون يعني. نحن عم بيصير عندنا كثير سقعه يعني كثير ثلج، بنضل محافظين عليها كهيدا الطقس وكهيدا المناخ. هيدي المواشي انا بطعمها كل 6 اشهر يعني، بطعم باول تشرين قبل ما افلت الفحل على المواشي يقدروا مثلا يحنوا، وبعد بس يخلفوا يعني بعد جمعه كان بطعمها كرمال الامراض. هي بيقولوا نحن بطعم انا 7 امراض يعني، كل شيء للروايه، كل شيء للقمعه المعده، للمصارين، لكل شيء هذا بفيدنا الطعم. وهيدي انه اجباري كل انسان يعني كل مزارع اما كل عنده حدا طرش لازم يطعم طرشاته.
Throughout our project, we have recognized even more explicitly that rural communities face similar sustainability challenges across all of our sites. Here, climate-related factors are key, as drought, floods, and unpredictable weather events threaten crop productivity, forage quantity and quality, all of which have direct impacts on livelihoods and food security. However, these factors are only part of the bundle of challenges that these communities face, which are often unique to a region or even unique at the village level. Climate-related factors are also inextricably linked with economic factors, such as market fluctuations and veterinary fees. Also social-political factors, including stock theft, rural outmigration of youth, and even policies and practices that facilitate livestock predation by wild carnivores. Understanding and addressing these challenges requires integrating and sharing traditional knowledge with scientific research to create adaptive strategies tailored to local contexts. Through co-learning, sharing, and promoting rural sustainability, we can enhance the adaptive capacity of vulnerable populations ensuring they are better equipped to navigate the uncertainties of climate change and other factors. Ultimately, sustainable rural development in the Global South is not just an environmental imperative. It is a pathway towards social equity, economic viability, and enhanced resilience in the face of an increasingly uncertain future.